Hi, I'm Kim from Piper Moon Yoga, and I'm going to share a few different seated positions that you may want to try during your yoga and meditation practice. In nearly every class that I teach, at some point I ask students to find a comfortable seat. And they'll usually look at the way I'm sitting and think that that's the comfortable seat and that's the position that they should be in. And we have these images of people, sitting in meditation. They look all peaceful and they're sitting on the floor with their legs crossed. And for many people, that's just not accessible. So I want to show you some different options because there are a lot of ways that we can find more comfort in our seated positions. What's most important in a seated position is that your spine is nice and long, so you can breathe easily. Okay, so if we're hunched over, it becomes very difficult to get a full breath, full inhale, full exhale. So one way that you can try this and make sure that your spine is nice and long and that it's free is moving side to side, moving front and back, and twisting. If you can do that with some ease, then you're probably in a really good position. If you're hunching over, if you're feeling discomfort, then you may want to adjust your seated position. So starting with this position that I'm in here, right? This is called Sukhasana or easy seat. It's also translates to sweet pose. And this is the pose that most people do not find so sweet. They do not find easy. So I'm sitting on the floor with my legs crossed. Now, this is relatively easy for me. The reason being, I have very externally rotated hips. Okay, so it's not really a problem for me to sit like this. I can find some comfort here. But for a lot of people, this is just not going to work. They'll be hunched over, or they'll just be really uncomfortable. The knees will be really far up in the air. Every body is put together differently. We have different size bones and body parts, and the way that we're constructed is different, so it makes sense that we'll all have a different seated position. So in this sweet pose or easy pose, I almost always have a blanket underneath my sit bones because I like to have a little bit more comfort. The floor is hard, so I like to have a blanket. Some options here. I can roll up the blanket so that it gives me a little bit more lift. Okay, so that's one option. Or I can take a trusty block and I can sit on the block. If you don't have blocks at home, you can use thick books. Once I'm sitting up on the block, it allows my hips to drop down a bit. And that gives me, even for me who finds some comfort sitting on the floor in Sukhasana, this gives me some comfort. Okay, it just feels really nice. It's a nice release of the hips. So this is one option to try. If you have really long legs, or you're very tall, or if this is not quite comfortable enough for you, you can sit on 2 blocks or a taller cushion. I can't sit on 2 blocks, I'm very short, so when I do that, my knees just kind of hang out, so I'm not even going to demonstrate that for you, but that's another great option to try. Now, if neither of these variations are working for you, another beautiful version is to come to Thunderbolt pose. So we come to our knees and sit back on our heels. Now for me, this is not the most comfortable pose. I can stay here for a little bit. Again, I have very externally rotated hips, and if you have more internally rotated hips, this may be a little bit more cozy for you. If this isn't quite doing it, you can always take a block or a cushion and put it between the heels and sit back on that. So now I'm both lifted and I have everything kind of coming forward. If my knees are hurting a bit, I can take a trusty blanket and slide it under my knees. So for me, this feels a little bit more comfortable. It's just another option. So, and again, if I was very tall, which I'm not, I can sit back on 2 blocks, but that doesn't really work for me. So those are just some options, and if none of these are working, another great option is to find a chair. A chair. Adjust your chair so that your feet are touching the floor. Sit to the edge of the chair, and you'll have a nice long spine, and it's another great option, really great to do at home, or if you're in a yoga studio that has chairs, just grab one, and that's another great option. So just know that whatever seated position you choose, just find one that really works for you, that there is no one size fits all, that you don't have to sit with your legs crossed. My dad calls this the hippie sit. When I taught him yoga, he said, do I have to do that hippie sit you're doing? No, you do not have to sit like this. There are other options for you. So never be shy about taking whatever comfortable seated pose is right for you. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, just leave us a comment. We'll see you next time.